Now that I've effectively reached 0 bills on my own home, it's time to start helping friends and family also reach that goal of 0 bills. So today I'm at a much larger property than my own, a generous 5-bedroom detached house. As you can see, nice big roof up there for us to put solar panels on. I'll walk you around the back, but we're here today to do the initial survey for solar installation. This aspect, by the way, facing northwest. So what does a solar survey consist of? Well, of course, it's looking at the roof, measuring up, and then I'll take you around and we'll show you some of the other things that they look at. This is the rear of the property. The orientation of this roof faces southeast, so it gets that nice morning sun. If you can't charge your batteries overnight on a cheap rate, then you can get them fully charged. This house is wide enough. We can easily get 10 panels from left to right, and we can get them in portrait 2 deep from the gutter up to the ridge. Unfortunately, over in that corner, there's a couple of soil stacks. So we're not sure at the moment what we're going to do with those, but we might have to sacrifice 2 of the panels. So we might just end up with 18 panels on this southeast facing roof. Still a healthy amount for any household. Of course, most of the time you can just count the tiles. Most of the tiles are a standard size. As you might be able to see, it's very dark, I know, so I apologise about the camera work. There's a lot of moss and stuff on the roof that we need to address at the same time. For us, as part of the survey, we got a ladder out, we got up there, tape measure, just to verify. Counting tiles is good, but you can't beat a tape measure. And unfortunately, that bit of the roof there has a dormer with a flat roof there, and that excludes a portion of the roof where we could potentially get another kind of 4 to 6 panels. That's a bit of a shame. Now we're going to be fitting the inverter and the battery down this side of the house. We're probably going to move some of these cabinets out of the way, but this is probably going to be the space here that we're going to site battery and inverter, and then it's a nice easy run in conduit up to the roof. So these are all parts of the solar survey, planning out the cable route, how everything's going to mount, where are you going to fit the components, and make sure that you've got adequate space for it. Of course, on a large property like this, we've got about 14 meters front to back here, plenty of wall space, and this is down a narrow alleyway at the kind of rear of the property that is never accessed. So these storage units are probably going to go, but it looks like we've got sufficient space anyway to the left of where these cabinets are. And that brings us to the cable run, because we'll be having the inverter down here and the cable run up to the roof. That's obvious and that's no problem at all. But we're going to need cable run, which also goes over to the main feed, electric feed to the property, and where you have like your cutout fuse and normally where your meter is. So either low level or maybe high level, we're going to be bringing some armoured cable or possibly some cable in conduit. That's going to need to come across the property and into this porch area here. For this particular property, we're fed by an overhead power cable here, which comes down the property. It's an armoured cable which then comes into this porch area, and it looks like there's probably an opportunity to put a little dedicated consumer unit somewhere here at a high level, hidden away in the porch. Your surveyor slash installer is going to want to look at where your meter is, where your cutout fuse is, where your existing consumer unit is. For us, it's above the front door, and so as you can see, we can probably put some Henley blocks somewhere over there to the left and take the cable out the other side, and then that can connect straight into a dedicated consumer unit here somewhere, run then an armour cable around here out of the porch and then across down to that side. Another part of the survey, which I'm not going to show you today, is we went up into the loft. We're measuring the roof trusses, and that's for structural load calculations, just to make sure that the roof can actually handle having 20 panels up there. There's calculations not just on the static loading, you know, the weight pushing down, but also wind uplift. And so those things need to be factored in. They also like to have a look at the condition of the roof. They want to be able to work on a roof that is not so fragile that as they get up there, every tile cracks and they end up spending a fortune replacing your whole roof for you. So there's a few things to be considered. Now back to the studio. I say studio, it sounds so fancy, doesn't it? Back to my little study, my home office, where we talk about how we model these things and why we're looking at putting up to 20 panels on the roof of this property. If you're interested in getting solar yourself and you're in the Hampshire, Dorset, Wiltshire sort of area, then make sure that you contact Dorset Solar Solutions. If you let Amy and Martin know that you've seen one of my videos, they will take special care of you, I'm sure. And of course, I'm a first-hand witness to the quality of the workmanship. Absolutely no reservations about recommending them after having a solar panel system from them on my own house for the last 2 years now. Let's have a quick look at this proposal. Different companies will format this in different ways, but essentially the main components will all be the same. We'll see the system size, we'll see the estimated bill savings and the cost of installing the system. And on there you can see a very grainy picture, and you can see why the satellite picture is so bad for that area. And there are several different sources outside of Google Maps. You can have a look at other sources, but all of them pretty poor for that particular area. But Martin and Amy have done their best to get the 19 panels shown on there and the one space for that soil stack coming out of the roof. These are ICO Neo style panels, 465 watts each, and 19 of them. So it brings it up to 8.8 kilowatt peak. And hopefully generating almost 8,000 kilowatt hours per year. So it's going to do much better than my own home, my own solar panel system in terms of generation. We're going for a Fox ESS inverter, 8 kilowatt inverter, and the 11.5 kilowatt hour battery that goes with that heated battery. Both of these components, as you've hopefully seen by now, will be sited outside. So here's the system performance and what this looks like over the course of the year. And these are average figures per day in terms of generation. So the worst month being December, 8 kilowatt hours per day as an average. And you can see the consumption curve is a predicted consumption curve. So it looks like, apart from January and December, the solar panels should be able to supply all of the energy that the home needs. And then during the summer months, there's plenty of excess to send back into the grid. And at the moment, get paid quite handsomely for. We'll see how long those favorable export rates last. But at the moment, let's make hay whilst the sun shines. Here's some of the assumptions and some of the figures that are fed in to make the generation figure that we're talking about. So you can see the total kilowatt peak of the system, and then the orientation of the panel, and then the inclination of those panels on the roof. So the slope of the roof and the orientation, which direction it's facing. And then there will be certain different postcode regions. I'm here on the south coast, so my generation will be better than someone in the Highlands in Scotland, for example. Then there's shading factors, and then it will bring us to our estimated annual output of generation. Now, we've taken the electricity consumption from a bill, so that's the total 12 months of electricity consumption. Here it's going to show that 41% of that solar energy will be self-consumed. And of course, there's many different strategies that you can adopt, and that's just one of them. Having a battery linked onto your solar panel system increases the amount of self-consumption, of course, because you can store that energy for when you need it. And then we have some other figures about the additional benefits. This was interesting to me. Additional self-consumption for EV, heat pumps, diverters, things like that. It's interesting that they can be factored in, and you can make some assumptions and make some calculations from it. So these are some of the environmental benefits, of course, reducing emissions. And these are, once again, based on a lot of assumptions, but they give us a good insight and they build a little bit of a picture. And as we know, a lot of homes can save 2 tons of CO2 per year by installing solar panels. We have talked through that at length on this channel before, and over the system lifetime it could be the equivalent of planting 389 trees, which I don't think anyone would complain about. We all want better air quality locally to us, and we all want cleaner water. A little bit of an explanation of how the system works, which way the electricity flows, and it goes to show the various different ways that you can utilize solar, battery, and the grid, all three in combination at various different times of the day and different strategies that you may take based on your tariff. And then we get into the bill savings here. So the existing bill, the monthly electricity spend of about £85 there or thereabouts, and the new bill of the energy companies basically paying us. And so you should be building up a credit of about £40 per month. So the lifetime bill savings is talking about £35,000, which then you can go down and you can drill into some of the details here. And some of the assumption is it is based on a tariff of 27 pence per kilowatt hour and an export of 15 pence per kilowatt hour. So there are some assumptions, and of course, tariffs are very variable. But this goes to show that the investment of £8,800, ultimately, it brings a significant return on your investment. And a quick little bit actually about maximizing the roof and why that's so important that everyone looks at that. So we're talking about 19 panels on this southeast facing roof, and that will bring lifetime bill savings £35,561, and that's over the course of 20 years. The system may outlast that. The solar panels probably will. Inverter, maybe that will need changing or some work. Let me just show you how that looked on the original proposal when we were talking about 15 panels. So here you go. We are now looking at 32,761. So what's the difference there? We're looking at almost £2,800 difference. And Martin quoted, I think it was an extra £600 to put an extra 4 panels on, which I think is a bargain. It's a no-brainer. If we have a little look at the net financial impact calculation here, it shows net savings of 24,591. This is on the old proposal with 15 panels. What do you think? How do you think that would change with spending an extra £600 on an extra 4 panels? Well, this is how it looks. It brings the payback down by 6 months, even though you're spending more, and it brings the estimated net savings up to 26,761. If I flick back again, you can see the comparison. Payback 5 years, 9 months, and net saving 24,591. So what is that? That's what, £2,150 extra estimated net savings for spending £600. It also really, really helps with self-sufficiency in those winter months. Surface area, every square millimeter of panel coverage on your roof really helps in those dark, dingy winter months. And attached onto here is very helpful that it's all within one PDF. Our data sheets and a bit of information about the equipment, so we can have a little look at the inverter. Great to see. It's a lot of the modern inverters now, they all seem to have 3 MPPTs. I'm a little bit envious, but that is fantastic. Just in case, I don't see a time where we would expand the system onto the northwest facing roof or one of the outbuildings, but it's nice to have the option there and the opportunity. And it was really interesting to me that the startup voltage on this inverter is just 75 volts. Very impressive. Very low startup voltage. So this should generate very early in the morning and very late into the evening. And the spec sheet on the battery, it's easy to expand these if we want to add a second or a third down that alleyway outside, then that can certainly be done in the future if there is a need for it. It has all of good stuff. It's LFP, it's very, very safe, but it has all of the fire suppression and everything that all of these modern batteries now have built into them, which is excellent to see. And these batteries are a little bit more efficient than what I have. My batteries are 48 volt batteries, so termed as low voltage. These batteries are 380 volts, so these are high voltage batteries, which means thinner cabling is required and higher efficiency. Lower current, less of the energy is transferred to heat, and more of it is usable for charging and discharging. Well, I hope this little video was helpful to you. If it was, give it a thumbs up or like, and subscribe so you can follow along on this adventure. I'll be documenting the installation and the change to the bills. And I may well include some of the performance of the system in some of my own updates, which I do on a quarterly basis to let you know how my solar panel system is doing. So thank you, everyone. It's farewell from me, and I'll see you again soon, or you'll see me again soon. I don't really see you. If you're in the comments, if you write me a comment, then I will see you in the comments. Bye.